Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 Million by 1 Million Strategy Roundtable for Entrepreneurs. 1M1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual incubator accelerator in the world, headquartered in the heart of Silicon Valley, but we work globally with entrepreneurs truly all over the world. And in these sessions, if you have attended before, you know that we see people from every corner of the world, which is quite thrilling, actually. For me, it's been a thrilling journey to be with you here week after week. This is our 241st session, and Maureen has produced every single one of them. So it's been phenomenal work behind the scenes by the 1M1M team led by Maureen to make this happen. The event is being recorded. You will have a recording available on our blog as well as on YouTube in our channel. If you are live tweeting the show, please use hashtag 1M1M. And our Twitter handles are @1M by1M, and my personal one is @Stromana. We push a lot of very interesting content through our Twitter channel, as well as every single social media channel that we're on, actually. You'll find recordings of all our previous sessions at our YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables. And these are the call-in numbers and access codes, etc., for this call, but we're not ready quite to take call-ins yet. We have some very special programming first. So I will put this up again later on in the show. You can make a note of the phone number, 650-479-3208, access code 666-179-408. But I will give you the signal when we are ready for it. Now, as you know, we do a lot of books. You know, one of the ways we make the 1M1M lessons from the trenches available to you is by, bringing you case studies and analysis synthesis of how entrepreneurs are being successful. We bring a lot of successful entrepreneurs to our forum, and the books are one of the, lowest priced entry points into the program, where you can start meeting these entrepreneurs and learning from them. So last month, we launched Carnival in the Cloud, which is a romp through the entrepreneurship world of cloud computing. And we've had some very interesting entrepreneurs in the book. And I am absolutely sure that if you read it, you will learn a lot from these entrepreneurs. And as part of the launch programming for that book, today it's a real honor to have Ann Winblad, co-founder and managing director of Hummer Winblad Venture Partners, one of the premier firms in Silicon Valley, with us. Ann, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, folks, Ann is a legend in our business. You will hear a lot of whining about bias against women in the industry, but I've never, ever heard Ann whine about any of that. She is successful in her own right as a venture capitalist, and she is the most successful female venture capitalist in the industry. So I am thrilled to have Ann with us, and we're going to have a conversation in general about what she sees in the industry and in cloud computing in particular, but in general as well. And then we'll talk about some of the issues vis-a-vis women and entrepreneurship and venture capital and all that, and then, we'll kick around whatever else comes up. So, Ann, let's start off with getting a sense of what you've been in the industry for a long time. You've seen the full evolution from, the 90s all the way till now. Where are we in the history of entrepreneurship, history of venture-funded entrepreneurship? Where are we going?
Well, I started my career as an entrepreneur myself. I started my first company the same year that Microsoft started, and that was a long time ago, in 1976. That was a seminal time for company creation. Apple started shortly after that. Oracle started about that time as well. And it seemed even at that point in time that at the beginning of the PC industry, which was the creation of these companies and mini computers, but in the case of Oracle, that we pretty much discovered everything. But today we're at a really interesting place for technology and for entrepreneurship, and we talk about it as web-scale infrastructure. And that web-scale infrastructure is globalized, It is commoditized at the developer level, meaning that the cost of building a company is far less than it was even for me, where I had to go out and buy some computers that cost about $25,000 each, and those were PCs for my developers. And as a result, there's an explosion of innovation globally, both at the enterprise level and the consumer level. And we are seeing this creation happen in Silicon Valley specifically. In the U.S., $30 billion of venture capital this year, with about 60% of that going to California. So here it is still the Mesopotamia of company creation. But the rest of the world is doing pretty well as well. I just came back from Stockholm, where they've had a number of billion-dollar exits in software companies, both consumer and enterprise. I've recently been to Berlin, the same situation there. Most of our companies are global. One of our largest companies here in San Francisco, Mulesoft, which is web-scale integration for the enterprise, has several hundred people in Buenos Aires. So it's quite exciting to see the ability for any entrepreneur to start a company, the capital creation being part of this web-scale infrastructure with crowdfunding platforms, and entrepreneurs believing that if they are successful, not just here in the U.S., but in other places in the world, that they should give part of their earnings back to creating other entrepreneurs. So we're at a very flourishing time for both technology and for entrepreneurs.
So, Ann, what is your personal investment thesis today as a venture capitalist? What kinds of opportunities are you looking for to invest in? What sectors, what types of businesses?
We are what's called a focused fund, meaning that we do have specific strategies that we use for investing. We start all of our investments at the A round. That means that many companies that come to us have no capital or seed capital. We invest in all business-to-business opportunities, and primarily those are aimed at the enterprise. And at the enterprise at two levels. At the core software infrastructure, that would include development tools, the data center infrastructure, integration, security, and then on top of that, we have always been investors in analytics. And that theme is going quite well right now. Because we are seeing in this web-scale infrastructure era that data is playing an even bigger role.
So you talked about Mulesoft. Let's actually take a couple of your companies and drill down and understand kind of your thinking behind why you invested in those opportunities. Obviously, today these are big successes, but when you invested, that was not so clear. So you must have made a certain analysis of those businesses. What was that thought process, and how has that evolved over time in terms of their execution, and what has caused the successes to happen? What can we learn from that?
Well, there's three things to learn. First, how did we find this company in the beginning, or how did the company find us? Every entrepreneur wants to know that.
Absolutely.
Because we're focused on the enterprise, we keep a very strong relationship with all of the analysts that cover the enterprise. And in this case, an analyst by the name of Jason Maynard, who has covered the enterprise for a number of investment banking firms, called me up and said, Ann, I cover the traditional companies, IBM, Oracle, TIBCO, and this name keeps coming up, Mulesoft. And I've done some investigative work myself, and it's one of those new open source companies. So maybe you should take a look at them. And here's the guy's name, Ross Mason. And that's called a trusted source for a venture capitalist. It could be another one of my colleagues who calls me up, an entrepreneur that we funded before, and we jump on those opportunities in front of anything that comes directly to us without an introduction. So having yourself be discoverable by an influencer is really important for an entrepreneur early on. I reached out to this entrepreneur, and I was a little shocked to find that he lived in Malta. And I had to admit to myself that I didn't exactly know where, I knew generally where Malta was, but not specifically. So he happened to be visiting the States and had one co-founder here. It was a new category called open source, and this is really indicative of today's companies. Yeah. About 150,000 copies of an enterprise services bus. This is something that traditionally you had professional services coming into large companies, but large companies had downloaded this software. One company had built their trading platform. One major airline had built their reservation system. One pharmaceutical firm had built their back-end infrastructure without having anyone appear at their company. It was a testament to the quality of the software. As an enterprise service bus is important infrastructure, and also the trend that companies would select by themselves, wanted to service themselves, and were committing to self-service high-quality software. We called those companies, and it was really apparent this was a real big opportunity. At that point in time, which is about 5 years ago, there were only 5 or 6 public application programmer interfaces, or APIs, and there probably were maybe 1,000 SaaS companies. Today, there are 10,000 SaaS companies. There are tens of thousands of application program interfaces that are published. So the integration problem, there are multiple clouds, there are hybrid clouds. So the integration challenge has magnified, even increasing the opportunity for Mulesoft. This company kept true to its mission to provide very, very high quality that customers could self-serve, that they could deploy very, very quickly. It had a community of developers. Some of that community of developers were in Buenos Aires, where we started a development center. And the company has scaled all of these pieces. Mulesoft today has just under 500 employees, offices in Buenos Aires, London, Sydney, and San Francisco, where their headquarters are. Ross is still the visionary leader of the company, with 499 other visionaries. So it had a very strong mission, a very big opportunity. It had proven the opportunity without any capital, and it has kept very, very high standards along the way on hiring, maintaining the culture, maintaining a global company, maintaining high quality of service and delivery to their customers, very, very low churn on these customers. It entered the market with a brand new business model where software is downloaded. It's subscription revenue, not perpetual licenses, where they really knew that responding to the customer, they had to be agile and fast and continually leverage the community of not just their developers, but customers. And it really has executed extremely well. And the talent we've been able to recruit around Ross has been key to their success. So it's one of those great venture stories so far. They're not all as perfect.
So, Ann, there are a few things you said I want to highlight for our audience, because they're very much in tune with the philosophy that we practice in our program, which is, bootstrap first, validate first, and then raise capital. And the Mulesoft story, obviously, as you said, without capital, they had validated and they'd got an immense amount of traction. That's definitely something that we heavily promote. The other thing is this whole global phenomenon that's happening around the world. One of the reasons we started 1M1M is to kind of bring Silicon Valley's tribal knowledge to the world and foster this entrepreneurship around the world. And this is not just us, many organizations are doing that, and we are kind of part of this collective global entrepreneurship movement right now. So it's very encouraging to hear the Mulesoft story, that this is, you know, not a company, not a traditional Silicon Valley company that comes out of one of the big firms like a Google or a Facebook and has all inside tracks and et cetera, et cetera. It's basically somebody who came from elsewhere and made a very big success happen. So all of that is very interesting. The third interesting thing that I noted from what you said is Latin America. The rise of Latin America is, in the software world, is an interesting development. We've seen, obviously, India is an old story. India is doing very well. But there is definitely very interesting movement in Latin America right now. And then your Buenos Aires story is very interesting from that perspective. Do you have another company that you would like to share with us the story and analysis on?
Sure. Probably another great story is, what's really happening in Canada. One of my partners is named Lars Leckie, and Lars is Canadian Danish. And when he became a partner, he realized, where are the Canadians? So we've funded a few Canadian companies, and in fact, years ago, you would find all the venture capitalists flying to Austin, Texas, and they would call that flight the Nerd Bird from San Francisco to Austin. The new Nerd Bird is from San Francisco to Toronto. And Toronto is a very multinational city, as you well know. So we funded a couple companies that originated in Canada. One of them I'm on the board of, called Sonotype. Today it's headquartered in Washington, D.C. And that's another great example of how companies can deliver value first to prove their technical credentials to build a platform for a commercial software deployment, and then build a company around it. And this company is called Sonotype. And Sonotype are the caretakers of what's called the central repository. And the central repository is where source code components specifically for open source and other code libraries are stored. Last year, 13 billion components were downloaded from the central repository. 13 billion. And what that indicates is three things. One is no one sits around and handwrites code anymore. They assemble it. And so when we talk about the sharing economy, we think of things like Airbnb and Uber, but we really don't think about how it's increasing the rapid development of software and also the number of new companies we're seeing. Because code is shared, libraries are shared, engineers really have become part of the sharing economy even earlier than we've noticed. Sonotype has then built commercial products on top of this that allows major enterprises to manage the quality of the code, check for component linkages that might create security issues, and those products are called component lifecycle management products. So the concept here is very much the same as Mule at a different level in the enterprise. Almost every enterprise, their developers do this, and commercially developers do it as well. So one of the impacts we're seeing here in this sharing economy is the rapidity of company creation. We're looking for companies that participate in this in multiple ways. Sonotype, their people build code this way, and also they deliver the tools that allow people to build code. They also delivered another open source product early called Maven, which is the common build tool that all developers use. So in looking at a sharing economy, both as an entrepreneur, you have to look at it at all levels. How do I get leverage when I'm building the code? How do I get leverage to get funded? Today, if we look at the crowdfunding platforms in the U.S., about 9% of the companies that have been able to secure funding on a crowdfunding platform of greater than $100,000 have gone on to receive additional capital. So I'd like to jump to that for a minute too. You mentioned, women in the tech industry and women entrepreneurs, which you and I are very big supporters of. Only about 7 to 9% of founders that are venture-backed by traditional venture capitalists are women. But on these crowdfunding platforms in the U.S., about 37% of the founders of the companies receiving their seed funding on a crowdfunding platform are women. And also there's more diversity across the United States itself, let alone globally. So, we don't have to depend upon venture capitalists being totally in charge of diversity anymore, or just, as we like to say, hope is not a strategy. But these new crowdfunding platforms are changing everything.
Anyway, and I'm glad you segued us in here. Part of what's missing from the analysis, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the level of sensationalization that goes on this issue, because the issue is a lot more complex and actually somewhat scientific than it's made out to be. The truth is, the venture-funded businesses tend to be more technology-heavy businesses, and there is a lack of women in the technology industry. So it is a function of the fact that there aren't enough people in STEM, enough women in STEM, and then they're not building enough technology companies, whereas the crowdfunding world or the bootstrapped entrepreneurship world is full of women because the types of companies are different. E-commerce, you look at e-commerce, there are like hundreds of thousands of e-commerce businesses out there, and many, many, many of them are founded and run by women. It's a very women-heavy category. And the kinds of companies that are getting funded by crowdfunding typically are not technology companies. They are other kinds of businesses. And that's, again, it's natural, and it makes sense that these, women are finding more options in those areas. And then another...
I would add one thing there. We don't do direct-to-consumer funding as we're doing the enterprise, but I do have a number of companies that come my way and say, who should I talk to for my direct-to-consumer business? And there's really, when you think about some of the higher profile, that are marketplaces, for example, like Airbnb, many of the customers of Airbnb are women. That was not a woman-created company, because the bigger companies, even if they're in marketplaces and commerce, to scale, the message I would send to women is they're going to need some technical chops.
Right.
And if they have them themselves, they're going to have an unfair competitive advantage. If they don't hire them early, they'll have a real disadvantage. So at some point in time when you start a company, there is no customer engagement model today for the future that doesn't involve a digital engagement. Right. Major enterprises are transforming their whole enterprise to have new digital customer engagement platforms. So women, even if they do not have STEM majors, if they want to build any business of scale, are going to end up dealing with engineers. So, postgraduate or whatever, it doesn't mean that women need to learn how to code, but they should really figure out, how do I communicate with an engineer? How do I hire an engineer? How do I know if it's a great engineer? How do I get into the digital transformation of society as a whole? So we can't start separating women from technical and non-technical. It's important to communicate to men and women who do not have STEM degrees that they're in a STEM world. They may not be writing code, but if they're going to be the person founding or running a company, they are going to have engineers working for them.
Right. And I'm fully with you on that. In my thesis on the evolution of the web, we have actually in September we released From E-commerce to Web 3.0, another book covering that part of the B2C economy. And really, if you want to do Web 3.0 the way I see it, it's personalization heavy, and personalization can only be done at scale with very serious, data, machine learning, AI kinds of technologies, and you better, if you want to deliver value with a user experience that is heavily personalized, you have to learn on all that. And there is online fashion is a very popular category right now after many, many years. As you know, I started one of the first online fashion companies long time ago, 15 years ago. Now it's a hot category, and it's a category that naturally lends itself to women founders. But I think today to deliver a differentiated user experience, it is not sufficient to know merchandising either. You have to know merchandising, you have to know branding, but you also need technology, and those are the three legs that have to come together in the founding team to deliver a really compelling user experience.
Yeah, everybody should read your book. I mean, it's a great book, and it's very readable by a non-technical person. The reverse of that in the enterprise where we're funding is that every enterprise now realizes that the consumer expectations for engagement are very, very high. A consumer does not want to be treated, nor do your employees. All of your stakeholders want to be treated as a party of one.
Right.
They want to not just have things sent to them and communicated to them. They want to be dialoguing with you via any device at any time. So it's not just, this has been a very, very rapid change, and it's driving many of the technologies we're investing in. And I'll give you a great example here of a company that we funded in Utah fairly recently, about 2 years ago, that also is, they're calling companies that grow really fast here unicorns. So it is one of those unicorns. It also is approaching about 350 employees now from, the 2 dozen they had when we funded them. And they built a machine learning platform for something very simple, which is inside sales. Mm-hmm. Now, inside sales before, I once had a job as a telemarketer for the phone company. And my screen would come up and tell me, make these calls in this order, by this time. And, here's a little bit of information about the customer. And this machine learning platform, which is in the cloud, which tells you also about the compute power that the cloud is able to do right now for young companies. It's a machine learning platform that brings in all sorts of data, including weather. So if I'm sitting down today and I'm an inside sales user at a telemarketing firm, it's probably already has told me that the power's out, there's a horrible storm, people are going to be preoccupied in the Bay Area today, so don't call them. But it also, when it brings me up, if it was a sunny day here, it would say, you should email Ann before 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm giving away a secret here. Before she starts, while she's getting all of her work prepared for the day. And don't try to reach her after 8:30 because she's already now in that work stream. And you probably shouldn't phone her. You should, you can text her. This is her engagement model, which is different than the next person's. And, it would also say, look, there's a news event in this place, and people are going to be distracted by that. Not a good time to call them. So it brings in all the external variables as well as the personalization variables to know exactly how and when I should engage with each individual. And it continually learns because it's a machine learning platform. So when we talk about building a digital engagement platform, and even for people that read your book, this is not a fixed target. This is a rapidly moving target. So getting in that learning stream, as you've recommended now, just gets you prepared for putting your head around how rapidly the personalization models and the technology under them and your competitors will be able to respond to customers and engage them, or you become the one that engages with them in their expected ways.
Super, Ann. It's been a great discussion. Thank you for spending half an hour with us today, and hopefully we'll keep, working on stuff together as we go along. And I hope your power comes back soon.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the great work you do for entrepreneurs. As a venture capitalist, it's, here in the Bay Area, and your reach globally is the reason why we have so many great companies. So thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in.
Bye.
All right. So we're going to start the next phase of the program. As you know, our 3 mentoring segments. So Priyanka Botny is up first in the mentoring segment. Priyanka, if you could unmute your line and tell us what's, that'll be great. Priyanka, are you there?
It says she's speaking, but I don't hear her. I think she was disconnected.
Yeah?
Varun, do you want to try to call in? I think Priyanka's having a phone problem.
Is Priyanka dialing from Bangalore or Sunnyvale?
Bangalore.
Bangalore? How about Varun? Is Varun on the call? Folks, you're going to build technology companies. You need to be able to dial into WebEx. Or Vivek can call in, Maureen says. So Priyanka, Varun, Vivek, one of you needs to be on the call so that we can get you guys started. And you need to tell me who's on the call.
Hello.
Yes, who is this?
Hi, Sharmana. This is Priyanka.
All right, Priyanka, go ahead. Go ahead with your...
Okay. I currently live in Sunnyvale, but I'm on a vacation in Bangalore. I'm originally from Bangalore.
Okay.
And I would just like to just go ahead with my presentation. I've been working on with some of the gaming strategies to win the hearts of millions of youth.
There's the first. Do you have your phone and do you have your computer and phone both streaming sound?
No, actually. I have. Should I put myself on mute or something?
This is better. So just speak up a bit and keep going. I think the noise may have been coming from Varun. So go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, the name of this venture that I'm currently trying out, I've just kept it a non-profit at this point in time because I moved to the U.S. on a non-work permit visa, on a H-4 visa, which has been a trouble for millions of women at this point of time. So I'm one of them who moved to the U.S. And being in Kansas, it was pretty boring for me to, just sit at home for 2 years. Being a very highly enthusiastic woman, being an entrepreneur in Bangalore, but once I moved to California or once I lived in Kansas, it was very boring for me. So that's how I founded something called Career Game, because I was not employed, so I thought I should give employment for millions of people. So that is how I designed something called a Career Game, and that's how I founded this. It's a game-based gaming platform where you gain skills, you play a game, you gain skills, and get a job finally. So the main customers that I'm looking at is youth between 13 to 30 years old, because they're usually unemployed or underemployed in this area. And the value proposition in this field is gamification, because most of the youth are involved in playing games, and they're on social media, and they're all looking for some kind of career opportunities, like some passion to follow. So yeah, just go ahead with the next slide. And And the next slide would just talk about the video game design. Right now, I'm working with a few
Priyanka,
of, yeah.
do you have a particular game that you have already thought through in all its gory details? Or is this just a high-level concept that you want to apply gamification to the underemployment or unemployment situation?
Right now, I'm researching this on OpenIDEO, on the design platform right now, and I'm already testing the first game with some of the IITians, IIT Mumbai. That's how I'm working on right now. Actually, I've given the link for this particular, whatever I've been testing from over almost a year right now. So I've been working with a few professors.
I'd like to understand, in this particular case, I'd like to understand what is the essence of the game, because you are presenting, if you look at your target customer segment slide, you have youth 13 to 30 years. The employment, underemployment issues of this very broad band of youth is very diverse. The teen unemployment or underemployment issue is very different from the graduates, high school graduates or college graduates. So it's I think you're trying to do too broad a band. I would like to come narrower and develop a concept, a fully fleshed out gaming concept around a much narrower target audience.
Right. Right now, I'm just concentrating on somewhere between 22 to 24 years, especially for engineers in Bangalore. That would be my first prototype or a niche that I would be approaching with the investors or someone who might.
Engineers in Bangalore? Engineers in Bangalore are not unemployed or underemployed. These are, I mean, the job market in Bangalore is very hot.
Yeah, it's good, but I'm an engineer from Bangalore, and I have faced this. Very few people, like in a class of 60, only 30 make it to the placements, and the other 30 are actually these people who are migrating from the rural areas. So in my own class, when I graduated in 2011, I've seen it in my own eyes when they are unemployed or underemployed. So either he has a very good opportunity out there, but there is a mismatch in somewhere. They don't know English, or there is some problem with some skills that they
there is an English problem, absolutely. There's in the human resource base that's in India or anywhere actually where there is a communication issue, especially English language communication issue. There's a gap. There's a skill gap. But that is not something you would necessarily address with gamification, right? People need to learn English. Or are you trying to teach English through gamification?
No, the game actually, the link actually provides every information. It is actually a research where you play a game, you gain all the skills that you do not have or you have not gained over the period of your undergraduation, and then you get a job. So it is a recruitment platform where you actually participate in solving global problems. So that is the exact definition that I was coming to say. So you're actually solving global problems, and every company or every individual will actually think about solving a problem, and that's how you talk about gaining skills. So that's how I have come to a conclusion where you need to undergo a cycle. You need to undergo a cycle of problem solving, and then you come to a final conclusion. Okay, this is the skill that I lack. And that is how you finally figure out, okay, this is a job sector that I want to enter, and this is a game that is actually helping me to do that. So it is all interlinked.
Your game is a skill gap analysis game, is what you're saying.
More or less, yes. I would say yes at this point of time.
Okay. Let's do your questions.
Okay.
So your first question about green card. If you're doing this for folks in India, why do you need to be in the U.S.?
I live in the U.S. My husband lives in the U.S. He works in the U.S. So I think my family is in the U.S., but I don't have a green card. So I don't know if I have to work for a company.
Incorporate your company in India.
Yeah, but I have to relocate to India.
You don't have to relocate to India to incorporate your company in India.
But how do I build a team? I mean, I'm in a very nascent stage. Although 1 year I've just spent time on research, I have another app that I'm building. It's called Social Get Work, where I'll be matching social media with the job opportunities out there. So I'm working on a natural language programming right now. So
going all over the place. You have to pick one concept and develop one concept.
Yeah, right. So it's all interlinked. It's all interlinked. So right now,
you have to
staying in the U.S.
products into markets. You cannot do multiple products at this stage of the game. And right now, even where you are, you will neither get seed funds nor VC funds. You don't qualify. You have to bootstrap your way to some level of validation, some level of traction. And you heard that when we were discussing with Ann. That's kind of the state of the union in the industry right now. You need validated businesses before you can get any kind of funding. So
Yes,
right
of
now,
course.
don't you waste any time trying to raise funds?
Right. Actually, I'm a Kairos Global Fellow. I have access to a lot of seed investors and venture capitalists, but that is not an issue. I have some of the angel investors who are already backing my back. So, but right now the problem is I'm on an H4 visa right now in the U.S. So
I'm
this
not
is
a
major problem.
attorney, so I don't want to discuss visa issues here. This is not the forum to discuss visa issues.
Yes. So if you were in my place, I mean, because I do not have, I'm not asking about visa issues right now. I'm asking you if there is, in my situation, what is the best thing that I could do? Because relocating to India would not be a possibility at this point in time. And building something, how do I manage my resources? How do I, structure my plan? What are the resources?
If your product is going to be primarily selling to the Indian market, then you need to, there's not a lot of justification of being based in the U.S. At least you need people who are going to be working in India and navigating the Indian market. Otherwise, it's, the only situation where this may make sense is if your entire selling is happening online somehow and you're able to do that all from here. You have to work out what your go-to-market strategy and all that is. And accordingly, you need to hire people and you need to, either hire outsourced resources, freelance resources, or you have to hire co-founders, whatever it is. But, it's this.
Shramana, I'm actually just out of college. It's just been 3 years, and I've just had 1 year of full-time experience in a software company and 2 years of marriage experience when I moved to Kansas. So I've lived in Kansas for 2 years. But I have a background in entrepreneurship when I was in engineering. So I have represented India twice, one in Paris and one in the US for some of the fellowships. I do have the experience, I do have the talent, but I'm just 25 years old. So I do not have an MBA where I can, figure out go-to-market strategy or target customer,
Okay. So on that, you can hold your question. That's what 1 million by 1 million is for. You can join the program. We'll teach you all that. If that's the point where you're getting stuck, we can take care of that. This is not a problem. If you're trying to learn how to build a go-to-market strategy and the ropes of, how to put one foot before the other, that's exactly what 1 million by 1 million is for. You don't need to waste your going through an MBA and all that. So hold on, I will talk about 1 million by 1 million and how to use the program a bit later. Let me finish with Varun and Vivek first.
Thanks, Shramana.
And you can ask questions after I'm done with presenting all that. Varun, you're up next.
Hi, Shramana, how are you?
Good. You have some unique dance steps. What kind of dance do you dance?
So I really had to go around the team and ask them what I'm really good at and what's the fun thing about me. So the unanimous choice was I dance really well. So I just thought I'll put it in there.
What kind of dance?
Sorry.
Bollywood or is it salsa? What kind of dance?
Very, very Bollywood, Shramana, very Bollywoody.
I love
Okay,
dance. I'm a avid dancer, so I just love people who dance.
Great to hear that, Ramana. Great to hear. So I'll just quickly take you through our products, Ramana. So we started off in 2011, so it's been a good 3 years now. We've raised an angel round and a seed round as well, and essentially the product is, we started off with this vision of building a love for reading in children, and we went on to create a platform where it's a digital storytelling platform with about 800 odd stories, digital stories in 18 different languages. So that's the crux of our product. We have a number of different features on our product where we essentially there's this read aloud feature in our product which helps kids understand pronunciations and words better, and also helps them to learn languages better. Okay, so the primary bleeding point that we are trying to address here is children who struggle to read grade level text. So the audio and word highlighting features and interactive games and quizzes that essentially accompany these stories are primarily helping kids in reading better and learn languages. Okay?
And it's a mobile product, mobile app?
Yes, it's a web as well as mobile app. We have a web platform, and we also have a mobile apps on Android and iOS.
And where do you sell? Is it in India? Is it a product that sells in India or elsewhere? Where's the geography?
Right. So right now we have two sets of customers, Ramana. So there's a consumer audience who essentially buys a subscription through our web platform as well as our mobile apps, and there's another audience where we sort of offer affordable reading programs to these non-profits. So there are two sets of consumers here. We've seen traction on both sets of consumers essentially. So we get on an average of about 30 to 40 subscribers for our mobile app every month, and we also work with schools in the affordable segment where we sell these programs as affordable reading programs for kids who wish to learn English and other mother tongue languages.
Okay. And are these people paying? Your customers, are they paying customers?
Yes, these are paying customers, and on the consumer side, we have about close to 120 to 130 subscribers, and about an active user base of about 20 to 30,000 customers. On the non-profit side, we've done about 2 big pilots with Pratham Foundation as well as Kamyani. And we have also set up affordable reading programs which have a reach of about 10,000 children. Now, yeah.
Can you walk me through the pricing model? How are you charging? It's a subscription, you said, yes?
Yes. So we have for our consumer audience, we have a monthly subscription price of about $7, and for the affordable segment, since it's more dependent on the reach, we have an affordable pricing of rupees 10 per month per child. So there it's more of reaching as many children as possible through partnerships and through resellers and schools.
Okay. And what kind of revenues are you doing right now?
So right now, through our consumer subscriptions, we are doing about $300 per month, which is really not enough to cover our costs. On the non-profit side, the primary issue has been, challenge has been, I would say, is to scale up, because we probably are not very well networked on that side. But since we've seen traction there, we believe that's a good place to be in and to probably sell these affordable reading programs. So we've seen traction on both, but right now the revenue is primarily coming in, the recurring revenues are primarily coming in from the consumer subscription side.
And what customer acquisition strategy on the consumer side has worked for you so far in terms of conversions?
So we've seen that mobile acquisition channels have worked for us. So our iOS app has done much better compared to our Android and web platform. So essentially, any mobile engagement platforms have worked for us. Typically, push notifications, small product hacks, and maybe even increasing the content a bit to suit the audience that we are targeting, which is primarily a US audience, whereas the company is here in India.
I see. And do you have a sense? Do you have a sense of where the adoption is coming from? The people who are actually becoming paid subscribers. What have you learned about that? The characteristics of that customer base.
So
might be located in a city or anything like that?
So what we know is they're from different parts of the world. Probably a big chunk of highly engaged users are from the United States, but essentially the subscribers are from all across the world, even in India, Brazil, United States, the UK. We have some Spanish subscribers as well because we have a lot of Spanish content on our website. So essentially from across the world, Shramana.
So, one thing you could do that's, for a product like this is you could run a guerrilla PR strategy. There's this whole category of mommy bloggers out there who are always looking to cover interesting companies that cater to moms, right? Moms looking for products for their kids. That's something that you can do from India, and you can do it, you can cater to the US audience, you can cater to international audiences. That's something you could think about doing from India, and you don't have to relocate or anything.
Right.
Yeah. On the nonprofit side, we have a whole strategy that we use for any kind of, where it's not marketing but selling. Your B2C strategy, go-to-market strategy is marketing. And there are various ways of doing that. The nonprofit stuff that you're talking about, it strikes me as B2B selling. And that we use a full process called Sales 2.0. And it seems to me that that's kind of what you're going to need to roll out. So you're going to need to learn that kind of a process to be able to scale.
Can you put in a bit more detail on that, Shramana? I sort of didn't get that last part.
Sales 2.0 is a process that we use for B2B selling. And it's a very elaborate process that we have, we have developed full training material on. And I can't train you. In 2 seconds, I cannot do a full Sales 2.0 training for you right here. But it's something that we train in the 1M program, in the premium program. We do train you on that. So if that's the kind of thing that you want to learn, you're very welcome to join the 1M premium program, and we will be completely equipped to teach you exactly what you need to learn. In general, all go-to-market strategy, customer acquisition strategy kind of stuff, we have very, very solid training on.
Okay. Thanks, Shramana.
And I'll talk about 1M later in the program, so you can, ask questions after I'm done with that. I have one more entrepreneur presentation to work with, and then I'll go over how to use 1M. So Varun is done. Vivek is next. Is Vivek dialed in? Vivek, are you on the call?
I am on the call, but I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible. Go ahead, please.
So, hi, Shramana, and hi, everybody. I'm Vivek. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a firm called Neolite. We are based out of Scottsdale, Arizona, USA. We are a team of 11 engineers. Neolite is a biomedical firm. So what we do is we design and develop and intend to manufacture biomedical devices that can cure jaundice in newborn babies. Jaundice is actually one of the world's most common problems. As you can see in this particular slide, that it shows 3 out of every 5 newborn babies around the world have jaundice by default. I'm sure you would have heard a lot of babies with jaundice having jaundice when they're born. Jaundice is actually not a very serious problem to deal with. It's just throw light on the baby at a particular wavelength. If you can move to the next slide, it will be more in detail about that. Yeah. So there are 3 treatments for jaundice, but the best treatment for jaundice is just throw light on the baby at a particular wavelength. That's about 400 to 480 nanometers at one peak wavelength for specific amounts of time. and then jaundice is cured in baby. But the sad part is if jaundice is not cured within 2 to 4 days of birth, the baby ends up having brain damage, brain conjugation, neurological disorder, and it eventually dies. The World Health Organization statistics says that every day about 12,500 babies die just because of jaundice every day. And 99% of these deaths are only in the developing countries like Africa, Southeast Asia, etc. The essential point is every baby that's born in the U.S. gets a happy, healthy, superb treatment. It's only because the existing markets in the existing hospitals, existing customers in the U.S. can purchase and afford extremely costly equipment to cure jaundice, which is about $5,000 each. So if you can go to the next slide, we'll talk about the existing equipment. Yeah, so these are the existing equipments. NeoBlue, Nose, Beijing, and that's Neolite on the right corner. So if you look at them, the average price is about 4,000 roughly, and they're very tall, 4.7 feet tall, and they have a very heavy weight. So there's a two-market strategy for us. One is the developing country market, like Southeast Asia and Africa, and the developed country market, meaning US and Europe. So for Neolite, right now our target market is the US, wherein the profit margin for us would be around $5,000 roughly. Although these equipments are averagely priced about $3,900, as shown on the slide, most of the equipment that is used in the market by the hospitals, the survey that we took around, just in Phoenix, would be around $5,000, $6,000 each. And the cost price of making these devices are very costly, and so they price it, they get a very low profit margin. But at Neolite, with a team of 11 engineers, cross-functional, mechanical, electrical, biomedical, biotechnology, different types of industrial design, we've got a team of different engineers, all graduate students. And we worked on an idea, and so we patented a concept. It's actually patent pending. So we filed a provisional patent for a concept, and we came up with a very cool device that can do the exact same treatment with in an even better, effective and efficient way. But the cost should be way, way, way less. It's about $150 roughly. Let's say $200, just worst case. So we want to target the U.S. market and keep the selling price about $5,500 and get a profit margin of roughly around $5,000, and again develop a small variant of that particular same version called the MVP, the minimum viable product, and then give it to the developing countries like Southeast Asia and Africa again. So this is our product portfolio and our product strategy. If you go to the next slide. These are the problems with the existing equipment. So to sell in the U.S., you cannot compete on price because U.S. is a developed country market, especially in the medical equipment field sector. I'm sure the hospitals would not want to choose an equipment just because it's cheaper. Sometimes it's perceived, sometimes they perceive price as an indicator of quality also. And so they don't like to see a cheaper price device calling itself an effective and efficient solution for jaundice. So the problems with these existing devices are they use a lot of power, they're very large, they're very expensive, they have a very short lifetime. The spare parts have to be changed every 3 months, and they have extremely high operational costs. And the best part for us is they have a lot of side effects, like they cause dehydration in the babies, they cause weight loss, erythema, and the babies are forced to wear opaque goggles, which causes skin irritation and other problems. So we want to pitch on these problems and then prove that switching to our device, which does not have any side effects. You can go to the next slide, which we'll talk about. Yeah, so these are the value propositions of our device, which can, this is a combined value proposition set for both the product that is going to be delivered to the US and to the developing country market. So you can see that our product is just around $500 each. That's for the developing countries, and the minimum viable product is priced at $500 each, and it's very small. It consumes a very little amount of power, and we use LEDs. So LEDs have around 20,000 hours lifetime. So that means on a roughly 12-hour working time period, it lasts for 5 years. And we have an association with a couple of hospitals local to Arizona called the Phoenix Children's Hospital and St. Joseph Hospital. The pediatricians at the hospital guide us, and we frequently take field inputs from the nurses at these hospitals. So the end consumer, the user for these equipments, at least for now, our target market is the nurses which use the equipment in the hospitals, and later we'll also design equipment that can be used with. Sorry? Did you have a question? Did you have a question, Shamana?
It looks like Shamana's phone was disconnected. Let me just send her a message.
Okay.
There's a storm in the Bay Area. Yes, so she knows. Okay, we'll give her a minute to call back in.
Oh.
All right, sorry, Vivek, I got disconnected, so you must have said a few things that I missed, but I was about to say something in response to what you presented on this slide. You've done a phenomenally good job of positioning your product as an alternative to existing products in the U.S. market. So the caveat that you made right up front by saying that this product is not going to be well accepted in the U.S. market because the U.S. market doesn't want to hear this message, I think that's a flawed assumption. I think the U.S. market would very much like to hear this message and would like to look at alternatives. How did you come to this conclusion that the U.S. market would not be interested in listening to this?
Oh, believe me, Shamana, I've talked about 5 different hospitals, let's say 4 different hospitals in Phoenix alone, and talking with jaundice, given the amount of problems in the medical industry, if you say you have a cure for Ebola or cancer, they might pay attention, but jaundice, it's just a normal problem. According to their perspective, it's just a normal problem, and so are you having a cheaper solution to jaundice? Oh, I don't think I have time for that. I've got more important stuff to do. So either that I've not made the right contact, or that the sample that I've taken right now is a very small set of samples. So, but
yeah,
these are my experiences.
You don't have the early adopters. You don't have, you don't have enough of a validation going on. But I would kind of, and the pediatricians who have to deal with all these issues of dehydration and diarrhea and everything that you talked about as side effects, they are. I can't imagine that they wouldn't be interested in hearing about it.
Actually, what I meant to say was my target market is the U.S. If I want to talk to the U.S. market, pitch to the U.S. market saying I have a cheaper equipment and selling it at $500, I'm saying they wouldn't accept. So if I pitch to them saying I have an efficient, even better equipment that can alleviate the existing side effects, then they definitely buy it. That's why the whole firm is, if we want to sell to the U.S., if we want to sell to the developing country market with a very low profit margin, I don't think it will work out for us. It will be a very low cost benefit analysis for us. But if we want to target the U.S. market, that's when we can survive. The money that comes in from the U.S. And Europe is huge, extremely huge. So that's my financial data. That's
so here's my response to you. I can see that you're looking for funding already.
Yep.
This is something you're going to need to do one of 2 things with. Either you find a set of pediatricians who buy into this concept and actually fund you in a friends and family or angel kind of financing, but people who understand the problem. We have actually a number of case studies of doctors funding medical solutions. This is,
interesting.
Doctors generally make money, right? They make good money. They have spare cash. So if you can pull together, and it doesn't have to be huge denominations. If you can get $50,000 each from 10 doctors, you have your $500,000 in place. But you need to find 10 doctors who are willing to write $50,000 check, 10 pediatricians who buy into this, and then who are going to then become your ambassadors to go tell another, 100, 200 pediatricians and drive this change.
Word of mouth. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that's the strategy I would follow. There is this case study on our blog of a company called Modernizing Medicine that did something very similar. It's a healthcare IT solution, and it's financed by doctors. And we have other case studies like that as well. So that would be my advice to you.
Cool. Awesome. And do you want me to shoot straight to the questions, or do you have anything?
Do you have other questions? Do you have more questions on that?
Yep, I actually have a couple of questions. So
please go ahead.
My first question would be, whenever you do a biomedical product or a medical-related product in the U.S., it means that we have to go through a lot of regulatory approvals and stringent conditions mandating by the government. So there's an FDA board that has to approve our product, and we have to do some clinical trials and IRB. So to get revenue into the U.S. market will take around at least roughly worst case of 2 years for the US alone. So to get the FDA approval to do the clinical trials, to pass IRB, and to start manufacturing and starting selling. So any time period in your firm which does not bring revenue to inside is called a dead period. And so we don't want to stay dead for the next couple of years. And so we felt that we should start selling the minimum viable product back in India, or because we have contacts in India. I'm basically from Chennai, and we felt that selling the minimum viable product or the costlier product in India, because the approval time in India is only around 6 months, including the clinical trials, everything. So in 6 months we can start manufacturing and we can start selling. We've got a partnership with manufacturing also. Sorry?
Perfect sense.
Yeah, but when we talk to investors and venture capitalists, the strategy of going to India and then during a dead period, it's too confusing and it's too vague for them. So we really don't know if it's a wise strategy to explain these kind of complicated issues.
That's ready for venture capital, Vivek. Then you do need to do the full, venture capital pitch, and I haven't seen the full venture capital pitch yet, so it's hard for me to tell whether, what kind of financials would this lead to, and how is it going to, what is the TAM and so forth, and how is this going to ramp? So you're saying you're going to go to $4 million in 2015, 4.6 million, right?
Yep.
Right. But where do these numbers come from? How are you going to get to these kinds of numbers?
Oh, these are so easy. So there's about 936 hospitals, 936 neonatal intensive care units in the U.S. So let's say 1,000 neonatal intensive care units. Each of them use about 20, 30 equipments per device per neonatal intensive care unit. That means there's a market for about 30,000 devices for us, at least in the immediate 1 or 2 years. Even if we sell just 50 devices to the existing 30,000 device market, and every device that we sell, the customers have to use a few disposables like diapers, like use and throw papers, use and throw mattresses for the babies. So the additional revenues that we gain from selling these disposables is extremely huge. So there's no option. If they have to choose, they have to use our disposables only. This is a model that we learned from our other existing competitors. So it's not just something that we force on the customers to do. So
the thing that's missing from this financial forecast is the sales cycle. Do you have any idea how long it's going to take you to sell these to you have to sell them hospital by hospital.
I can sell the 50 equipments because with the existing contacts, with the hospitals right now in Phoenix alone, I can sell 50 devices in a year. It's not a question
at all. You're saying that they're not listening to you and they're not giving you the time of day. How are you making these assumptions that now it's going to suddenly become very easy to sell and you're going to go from 4 million to 9 million to 92 million to 185 million? These numbers are hardly high-scale numbers.
When did I say that they're not listening to me? Oh, they do listen to us. I'm just saying that we need to pitch in a way that not about money.
You said, Vivek, what you said is that this is not a high-priority item for them. So budget cycles, getting through budget cycles and actually successfully selling it's an enterprise sale. The sale to a hospital is an enterprise sale. So you have to go through their budget cycle and so forth. And I don't know what the sales cycle is. It's 3 months, 6 months. I have no idea what it is. You need to figure that out.
5 years.
Pardon?
5 years.
5 years is a sales cycle?
Yeah, for this. So they have different sales cycles for different equipments, right? For different types of products.
No, you're not talking about sales cycle. You're talking about how long does an equipment last. Your sales cycle is your sales cycle. How long is it going to take you to sell to close a deal with a hospital?
Oh, in that sense, what I meant to say was how many devices, how frequently would they be buying a device, a hospital? That was the number that I gave you.
The thing that's problematic in your forecast here is it doesn't take into account sales cycle. And as a result, these numbers are not credible. I don't buy into these numbers.
The bottom line here is I have contacts to sell the 50 devices that I've projected here. It's not a question. I have educated them, and it's not an issue for us to sell 50 devices. That's hash one. Hash two is my other question would be.
I don't buy that. You can say that, but your investors are not going to buy that unless you're able to take them through the full understanding of what is this, what is the sales cycle. Because you've already told me that it's not their priority. So when you're trying to sell something that is not a high priority, the sales cycle expands hugely, and that's when the business becomes slow growth. And you're showing a level of growth curve here that is absurd to say the least.
Yep, I agree. It might look like that, but I'm trying to work on a white paper and prove that if you switch from your device in the existing device in the hospital to my device, I'm sure you'll get X amount of economic value benefit. And I'm trying to show this to a couple of hospitals here and try to get a letter of intent from them saying, yes, if given this white paper is true, we would definitely switch to your device or something like that, some kind of letter of appreciation or something like that. So that's the target plan that we're working on, and it'll bolster our financial plan, like you said. I'll work on that. And my other question was, so when we go for seed funding or venture capitalists, or maybe this presentation is not prepared, but down the lane when we go to it, we would need only $200,000 for research and development on this one to go manufacturing ready. Another $200,000 for us would just go to employee salaries and just the SG&A. So when we raise money, and we tell the investors that half the money that you give us goes to salaries and only half goes to R&D, I personally feel it is not a good message to, they wouldn't embrace it happily. How do you think we should address that factor?
I think all investors know that talented people cost money. I think if the money going to salaries is no problem at all for investors. It's a very accepted and understood, line of expense. That is the line of expense in any kind of innovation is salaries.
Okay, cool. These are two questions that I had. So, Thank you.
Great. All right, folks. I have a request to you. If you like what we are doing here in 1 Million by 1 Million, please spread the word. That's the one help we need from you. We cannot be successful in doing what we are doing without serious entrepreneurs who commit to many years of hard work in building a business. This is, it's not exactly playing the lottery. You have to really build block by block and put one foot before the other, and that's really the mission that we are on, is to help you through that journey, giving you all the mechanics and support that you need so that you can become successful in your own right. So I'll walk you through what we offer in 1 Million by 1 Million, and if you have questions, I'll be happy to take them at the end of the segment. Everything we do is at 1mby1m.com. It's a completely online virtual program. We have a great blog that has tons of case studies, and you can learn a ton from those. And then the Entrepreneur Journeys book series, of which we have now 12 books, is another place where you can go to look for specific topics and coverage on specific topics. So, we have, for instance, bootstrapping, positioning. These are core methodology areas in our program. And then there are these verticals like e-commerce, cloud. Then there are mechanics of bootstrapping, like bootstrapping with a paycheck, bootstrapping using services. We have books in every single category. So please, please definitely look at these and see where you want to double-click down and learn. And each of them are, deeply investigated with very successful entrepreneurs who have followed those lines of thoughts. And we have a new book coming in January, which is $1 Billion Unicorns. So this is what the site looks like. You'll find lots of information on the website. These roundtables happen every Thursday. So we have one more left in this year, 240 roundtables so far. Today is 241st. Thousands and thousands of people have been using these sessions. You can go to the website and register to pitch or to attend. And then we have the premium program, which is what we talked about a bit with several of our presenters today, where you get the methodology guidance, whether you're trying to learn go-to-market strategy or Sales 2.0 or fundraising, how to build a fundraising pitch deck or, strategy, anything, or bootstrapping techniques. Everything is taught in the 1M1M premium program. We charge a $1,000 annual membership fee and no equity. So it's a very entrepreneur-friendly program. We give you extensive methodology guidance with a very strong curriculum. We help you with business development, potential customers, channel partners, etc. We help you with strategy consulting, with financing, and with media relations. And as you heard Ann say, the referrals are really important. So who refers you is really important in the investment game, in the customer building, channel partner building game. So to the extent that you can use our network to get in front of influencers, get in front of the people that you're trying to get to, we will do everything in our power to connect those dots, and please take advantage of that. The $1 Million Club on the website will give you some case studies of successful 1M1M members. We have an ROI analysis of the 1M1M program, which is $375,000 plus 5 to 10% equity worth of value for just $1,000 annual membership fee. And this whole thing is analyzed in this quantifying the 1M1M value equation page on the website. And we give you lots of orientation material to learn how to use the program effectively. 1M1M is like a gym. We offer you lots of stuff, lots of machines, but you have to get on the machines, do the workouts to get in shape. That's really all we can do, is to give you all access to all these resources and give you the help, but you're going to have to do the workouts yourselves. So the 1M1M self-assessment is on the website. There's a series of questions that you should ask yourselves to calibrate where you are, where your gaps are in your business building process. The premium program, there's tons of information on the website. You can learn what to expect from the premium program, get the video FAQs to answer your questions, and evaluate whether this is the right program for you. We've built the curriculum by inviting over 600 successful entrepreneurs who have been part of our case study and strategy advice program. So today, the curriculum that has emerged out of 4 years of being in the market, we launched the curriculum first in December 2010, and in the 4 years since, we have enhanced the curriculum with new case studies, new successful entrepreneurs and their perspectives on a monthly basis. So it's a very rich curriculum. It's working phenomenally well in our membership base. So it's divided into core and electives. In the core, you will learn bootstrapping, positioning, market sizing, customer validation, financing, customer acquisition, and team building. And in the electives, you will learn a variety of different topics. Whatever is your interest area, you can double-click down on that. Web 3.0 and e-commerce, cloud computing and business solutions, outsourcing and consulting, mobile and social apps, healthcare IT, gaming, whatever area that you're working on is going to be, you'll have a correct curriculum elective available. So there's a huge amount of methodology and prior art, so to speak, of business building that you will be able to access through the program. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient, bootstrap startups. The philosophy is bootstrap first, raise money later, and that is how the industry operates. As you heard in the segment with Ann, that is how the industry operates. That's what VCs are looking for, are validated businesses that they can then fund. We do a lot of work in the media. Our clout in the media is significant, and we can get you a lot of coverage. So coverage of 1M1M premium members will give you a window into the kind of coverage we generate. And we also let you use our social media channel, which is very significant today: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, blog, etc. Our email newsletter. You can use all of that to get your words, your message out there. So, you get a significant amount of visibility channel, basically, through the program, through your membership in the program. We do have an affiliate program, so if you're working on an entrepreneurship development program of any kind, whether it's media related or local organization, entrepreneurship development organization, you're welcome to become our partner. Upcoming free roundtables, one more in December, then we break for the holidays and come back with a full roster in January. Every Thursday in January we have a roundtable. Vision India 2020 is the other book outside of the Entrepreneur Journey series, which we have released a while ago. It has $45 billion business ideas. It's a book that basically is designed to stimulate your brain to generate ideas of something that you want to work on. And it's primarily applicable to emerging markets. So it's focused on India, but the ideas would apply to Africa, Latin America, East Asia, and so forth as well. We have a platform called Incubator in a Box, which a lot of our corporate partners and government partners and so forth are using to launch their own incubators, and it's basically runs a lot of corporate incubation programs today. In terms of books, I've talked about Carnival in the Cloud. We also have Bootstrapping Using a Paycheck, which launched this month. It's a very interesting spin on how to get a company off the ground without jumping in with both feet right away. It's a risk mitigation strategy and a successful risk mitigation strategy as explained by a lot of successful entrepreneurs who have used that. And then the book that came out in September, which we referenced in the conversation with Ann Winblad, From E-Commerce to Web 3.0, How to Leverage the Evolution of the Internet. This is a B2C focused, primarily B2C focused book. So we have a little bit of time to do Q&A. If you would like to call in or if you'd like to ask questions in public chat, please feel free to do that. We have a bit of time for Q&A. Anybody? No? No one has any questions? Very shy audience today, it seems. No? All right, let me introduce you to Irina Patterson. If you're considering joining the 1M1M program and have questions about it, please feel free to call Irina Patterson. Her phone number is 786-301-2456. Her email is irina@1mby1m.com. And if you want to Skype with her, email her to schedule a time to Skype. Her Skype ID is Irina_Patterson. That's it then. If you're all set and don't have any questions or comments or issues that you want to kick around today, then we will adjourn. Okay, bye everybody. Thank you for attending. We'll be back here one more time this year, next week. I hope you will join us. Bye.